To create a
What's going on, guys? We are live. Week 7. We have 6 teams on a bye this week. We got plenty of game time decisions and injuries to figure out. Bruni looks like he's frozen. I think he is.
Okay. Party on. Okay.
And that was well done. I'm sure Brad's muted. All the fun stuff that comes with live. So we're going to talk about let's talk about this battle of the backups game right off the bat for Bruni. We got Brian Hoyer starting for the Las Vegas Raiders. First, the Chicago Bears, led by Tyson Bagent. Is that correct there, Bruni?
Go ahead. Fire away as you will. I have no idea.
His dad's a professional arm wrestler. If we're trying to figure out who this guy is. He said that
he's really good looking, likes to run the ball.
If he did not make the NFL, he was going to be a public school teacher and get jacked as hell on what's that crazy workout people do?
Creatine?
No.
CrossFit?
Insanity?
He was going to be a crazy CrossFit
Sanity, bro.
guy.
Preach.
Sanity
works. It does.
Yeah, I saw a tweet out there from Jeff Bell that said he got sacked 8 times by the Miners, a Division III team, and now he's playing the Raiders.
He's come a long way. Yeah. The Raiders not that different than that Miners.
1 year
about the same.
And so we have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer. Are you starting anybody not named Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs for the Raiders, Brad?
I'd be okay starting Michael Mayer. We saw him kind of come to with Brian Hoyer last week. He actually got some targets, looked pretty good. I think that's 2 weeks in a row now. He's had a pretty decent target share, and I look to see a little bit more of the same, that security blanket for Brian Hoyer and the Las Vegas Raiders. Devontae Adams was rough. Yeah, he's probably going to get some targets, but it wasn't good last week. 2 catches, 29 yards. Not a great look. Jacoby Myers, 5 for 61, pretty good, and ended up with the touchdown last week. So I think he's a guy that can be thrown into one of your flex options and be good to go. But, I mean, you're not benching Devontae Adams if that's your question. You're rolling him because he's Devontae Adams. I think you can still trust Jacoby Myers in a flex position, and I might be willing to – am I okay starting all 3 of these guys? I just talked myself into it. So, yeah, start them. Let's roll.
Key fact to starting all of those guys, they're playing the goddamn Bears. The Bears are awful. They're awful. Wow. It's a great matchup for fantasy right now. Running backs, receivers. Call me nuts. Call me crazy. I'm starting Brian Hoyer. I've got CJ Stroud on bye. It's a 14-team league. It was either Hoyer with his juicy matchup up against the Bears or Ritter, Dobbs, Mayfield, or Mac Jones. I'll take the matchup. I'll take the easy squeezy Bears. Brian Hoyer gets to pass to Devontae Adams. I'm gonna ride it out.
They have all those guys above, but I get the concerns. So talking about the Bears, DJ Moore last week 5 for 51, Cole Kmet 2 for 9. Are we starting any of the Bears? What about Deonta Foreman, Mr. Bruni?
I have to. I mean, it's by Mageddon. If you don't have to start Deonta Foreman, you're probably playing like a 10-man league, or you're undefeated, and you don't even have to start a running back this week. I feel like if you're in a situation, like most people in fantasy, you're diving into the depths of the running back bag. Some Deonta Foreman, maybe some Jeff Wilson this week. So yeah, I'm firing up Deonta Foreman. If Roshan was back, maybe that would have deterred me, or I would have started Roshan. But yeah, wheels up for Deonta Foreman. Still a pretty good matchup going up against the Raiders.
Yeah, I got a league that if you don't get waivers this morning, then they're locked. And so I hate that. And so then, I got two guys on a bye and an injured quarterback. So I am not going to have a quarterback unless someone makes a trade with me in the next 2 hours. And another league, I had to start Taysom Hill at QB1 and Superflex. So,
well, congratulations, Dave. Congratulations.
It is by Mageddon, and we have to do those things. And Taysom Hill might outscore Brian Hoyer with 19 points this week.
You take that back. You take that back.
I was trying to lose, but Taysom Hill's not having it. So
the easiest way to lose, Dave, is to put nobody in the spot. 0 people in the spot.
Well, last time I got really hated on for putting Kareem Hunt. So
yeah, I would have did the same thing. I would have murdered you in the chat.
DJ Moore or Gabe Davis.
Probably Gabe Davis. I think DJ Moore sees more opportunities, but do not love quarterback situation there. I'd much rather have Josh Allen passing the ball to the guy I start. And I do think that Belichick could sell out to try to stop Diggs. Diggs is on a tear. Obviously, he doesn't want to get beat by one man, so we might try to pull some double coverage on Diggs, which is going to allow Gabe Davis to get down the field. So yeah, I'll take Gabe Davis.
So Brad, this week you were encouraging people to trade for T. Higgins, but it was more of a dynasty trade. What are your thoughts about trading Calvin Ridley for T. Higgins? Assuming this is a redraft question, Michael, if it's redraft or dynasty, that helps.
Yeah, I still think it's good. I'm still happy with T. Higgins on the other side of that deal. I mean, we've seen multiple weeks in a row now where Calvin Ridley is the second, third, maybe even fourth option in that offense. Like, it is not going well for Calvin Ridley right now. Everybody's panicking about T. Higgins last week. It was his first game back from injury. He didn't play much more than half the game. I want to say he was around like 54% of snaps or something like that. Like, I'm totally fine with T. Higgins. I think he gets back in. You see Joe Burrow and that offense starting to click a little bit more. So I think it's a great one-for-one swap that looks like you're getting trash for trash right now. But I really expect T. Higgins to ascend a little bit in that offense the remainder of the year. So.
Yeah, so Shane's got a question. Bad guillotine spot, PPR, Algier, Evans, or Royce Freeman. Andrew.
Oh, sweet mother of God. I kind of want to stay away from the Rams situation because we were kind of told it was going to be Zach Evans, and then he came out now and it's like, well, I think I'm going to ride Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson, and I honestly don't think Sean McVay knows what the hell he's going to do yet. So I'm going to stay away from that, and I will just take Algier. I don't feel good about that whatsoever. I wish I could look at your waiver and see who else is on the waiver wire just potentially, but damn, yeah, I guess Algier, but it feels bad.
Bernie?
Is Divine Azigbo available? Can we go on down that road? I'm just kidding.
Can you cross sport, put in Bryce Harper by any chance? Take those.
Yeah, right. I mean, Algier's the best answer. It's the one that makes the most sense. I'll roll the dice with Zach Evans. He's still a guy that they drafted. It's not like he's been activated from 4 different practice squads or been, picked up off the couch, like some of these guys here. So I like Zach Evans just to be different from Andrew here. But Algier's like, it's the rankings answer. It's the, he's better, he should have a role, but he hasn't had one. He's had less and less work as we've gotten deeper into the season. So I like Evans this week.
Brad? Muted.
Brad, you're muted.
You are very quiet.
Son of a bitch. I'm the opposite. I'm Tyler Algier. 17 rushes 2 weeks ago, 13 rushes last week. He continues to see some red zone work as well. I just think you have a good solid floor, and there's some touchdown upside this week for Tyler Algier. So,
Aiden O'Connell or Tyson Bagent, which QB will do better?
It's Bagent because O'Connell's not starting. So
Yep. Yeah, Brian Hoyer is supposed to be starting Facebook users, so it's going to be Bagent by default.
Write that down.
There's plenty of I'm looking at MFL projections. There's plenty of backup quarterbacks with just a little bit of projected points. Like they have Tyler Heineke's got a couple, Zappy's got a couple. They're expecting to have a couple quarterbacks maybe put in today. So let's go to our next game, and that is Brad's Cleveland Browns versus the Indianapolis Colts. Over under is 40.5. Cleveland is favored by 3.5. Deshaun Watson returns. Indianapolis has allowed the 24th most points and is PFF's 24th ranked defense. Man, whoever put this together did a great job. Only offensive player to really trust is Amari Cooper and Jerome Ford. Is that true or false, Bernie?
I'd like to believe that David Njoku is a live option or a more live option with Deshaun Watson in the lineup, but I'm honestly off of all of these guys. Like I'm starting Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, and with my hands tied behind my back, someone's setting my lineup to put Amari Cooper in. So like I just don't love them this week with Deshaun coming back off of injury. The offense has been underwhelming, I'll say. Not as advertised. Obviously, losing Nick Chubb is a huge factor on the rest of how the group is going to operate. But I'm trying to get off of these guys if I can. Obviously, super difficult during the bye Mageddon. David Njoku is the only other cat that I float out there.
Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I also like Kareem Hunt in this matchup. I mean, I love Ford and Hunt. Those are my two favorite guys to throw in here. Cooper's fine. Man, yeah,
Elijah Moore is kind of the question mark. We haven't talked about him.
Is Kareem Hunt a lock to play though? Like, is he a game time decision or is he just expected to play? Like, do we know the difference of the two?
He's expected to play.
Yes,
expected to play. Okay, yeah, but that's still considered questionable, but not really a game time decision. He's going to take the field.
Yeah, I don't think I would play Elijah Moore personally, unless you're in a really deep league that you kind of are forced to play him. But yeah, if I can pivot off that, I most certainly would.
Yeah, that was my prop lock that I threw in down here for this game is Elijah Moore under 39.5. And look, he's getting targets. The dude is really garnering a pretty healthy target share for the Cleveland Browns because anybody not named Amari Cooper or Elijah Moore just aren't getting. Donovan Peoples-Jones is an afterthought. David Njoku really is an afterthought right now. Harrison Bryant, ever since he managed to fumble a catch that resulted in a pick six for the Steelers, he's been non-existent. So he's not producing right now. So while he maybe I look at an over in targets or receptions, but from a yardage standpoint, it's just all very close to the line of scrimmage kind of stuff. And the biggest concern I have with Kareem Hunt is if you watch, he just looks slow and unathletic right now. Like maybe that's just not in football shape, but I struggle with that and the way he's running the football right now. There is no explosion there whatsoever. Muted, Dave.
You're very quiet, sir.
The last report is that he was questionable due to a strained thigh, and he's going to be tested during warm-up. So he is a game-time decision, could be limited. So, he did get in the red zone the other day. I know that he's been getting a lot of work. Ford's been more kind of in the Kareem Hunt role in the passing game. Deshaun Watson, I don't know if you've seen the videos, but wasn't really throwing the ball downfield with a whole lot of velocity. And so you could see more, check downs, things like that. I think Elijah Moore is going to be in for a decent game. The Colts have been pretty easy against the slot. So McCall Hardman, no impact. We've seen him on the Chiefs before, and it wasn't good. So I don't think it's going to be any different this year, but appreciate the question.
No, just this week. I mean, Hardman will definitely have some type of role going forward. They have no rhyme or reason to snaps at the wide receiver position. I think Hardman may be able to bring some stability this week. Don't touch him. Like just stash him on your bench if you want to, but don't touch him this week with your lineups.
And I missed Brad's prop lock before. Josh Jacobs TD score. Andrew, thoughts on that?
Yes, 100%. Put him in there. He's getting.
I love his. I want to say it was like 6-1 for him to get 2 touchdowns, and I might even be leaning towards that as a little bit of a little reach. But
that's the play.
I got him. I put him in 40 plus yards rushing in my ladder challenge. So yeah, all over Josh Jacobs.
So
I'd like a double Josh Jacobs TD, or maybe parlay that with cuff it with a Jacobs and Myers TD.
Yeah.
All right, I got starter sit question for each of you. Brad, Pittman, or Cooper?
Pittman. Nah, Cooper. Yeah, Pittman.
All right.
So ugly.
Andrew,
I felt gross saying it.
Andrew, Downs or Moore? Elijah Moore.
I'll take Downs. He's been making some big plays downfield. He's been making some big play downsfield for them. So
Nice.
yeah, nice. Yeah. I like his opportunity. Just to build off of some good games here. Yeah. So I'll take Downs.
Yeah, the matchup in the slot's a little better for Downs than it is for Pittman, and when you're looking at man-to-man coverage, Downs is actually led targets and first read options. Moss or B-Rob Bruni?
Zach Moss?
Zach
Brian
Moss
Robinson or Bijan?
I believe it's Brian Robinson.
Okay.
Correct.
Shit, it's probably Zach Moss. I mean, Zach Moss is still top 5 in the NFL in total rushing yards.
All right, so we're moving on to the Buffalo Bills favored 7.5 with an over/under of 40 against the New England Patriots. Brad says start all your Bills, shut down all your Patriots outside of Stevenson. Bernie, true or false?
I guess. I mean, I think Stevenson still applies, but he did have a decent week last week. So I mean,
Yeah, he did.
And again, with the situation of week 7, you probably just have to start him. It's not like I can sit here and say like, oh yeah, you're sitting Stevenson for who? For who? Who do you got? So you're firing him up.
Yeah, he's involved in the pass game. He left early last week and still had a decent week.
I have to start Kendrick Bourne though. It's not like I can even get off of Patriots. You know what I mean?
So,
again, with all the buys, it's very difficult.
There's 14 leagues. The 14 team leagues are tough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Superflex too. Superflex is tough right now with the QB situation. The league in general, the pool of talent at QB, it's shit in my opinion. It's dog poo.
All right. I need to start one. Addison, London, Johnson, thoughts. Swagger Hound, is this PPR, 0.5 PPR? That might help a little bit. But Brad, where are you going? Addison, London, Deontay.
London, and it ain't even close for me.
Bernie.
Not Deontay back versus those two. I guess I'll co-sign Drake London. I like the matchup up against Tampa Bay. Why am I blanking on Minnesota's opponent for this week?
San Fran. Monday night. Primetime Cousins.
It would not be that one then. Yeah, that would not be it. So no Deontay Johnson, no Addison, London.
Full PPR. Thanks, man. Andrew?
I would take Addison, by the way. I will take Addison. I just think that he's going to see the most targets out of any of those guys. They're going to be down by a billion.
He's super hardo for this guy, though.
I mean, he's the number one target, or I shouldn't say target, and number one wide receiver on the team right now in a game where they're probably going to be losing by 14 plus. All they're going to do is throw the damn ball. I mean, he's going to see opportunities. I mean, London's
there's arguments that he's not the number one guy. I still think TJ Hawkinson's the number one guy.
Well, that's
now
why
with
I changed it to receiver. He's the number one receiver. You are right. I agree with that. Hawkinson's the number one pass catcher for sure. But yeah, I mean, Addison's I think this is just an opportunity for Addison to show that he's a worthy wide receiver. And I mean, again, I don't think that they're going to win this game by any means, but I could see Addison going for 70 plus and a touchdown.
Yeah. I don't love either of these guys this week. Got them both in wide receiver 3 range. But Brad's target share report, make sure you check that out every week. London, since his donut week 1, actually is averaging over 8 targets and 60 yards a game. He's actually wide receiver 19 since week 2. So I'm going to go with him slightly over Addison. But even in a buy Mageddon, they're both wide receiver 3s for me. All right. Anything else with the Stevenson or Aaron Jones, Bernie?
Super ugly. I can smell how bad that is through the screen. Man, I want to say Aaron Jones. I do. It's a great matchup. I'm gonna say that he's finally healthy because he's kind of been going back and forth with the limited practices, coming back, but not being able to really do anything. I'm gonna say this is the week that he is right. And I'm going to chase the matchup up against the Broncos because you're starting A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones this week again. Like, I think that the option is good between Stevenson, but I am way off of Stevenson. Way off.
All right, Andrew, Wandale or Bourne?
Wandale.
Brad, Mac Jones or Desmond Ridder?
Oh,
Neither is not an option.
Can we choose Becky the Icebox?
I'm going to go with Ritter
Little
because
Giants.
I think
Nice.
this could be a week that we see Mac Jones get benched again. So, I'm
Every
rolling with
week is
Ritter.
that week. Every week is that week.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
You're just taking like there should be a prop out at this point, like first, second, third, fourth quarter. You know, when this
All
dude
right,
gets
so
pulled.
just Adam Schefter's reporting Christian McCaffrey feels great after practice. He's still questionable, but there's good signs, positive that he could return. But we want to encourage people to have some backup options. So Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Cam Akers would be, if you really want to get dirty, Juwan Jennings. But those are some backup pivot options that could be available on the waiver wire if you want to hold out for McCaffrey. Because people are going to have to make that decision. Do I hold out for McCaffrey? And so I'm doing it if I have Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason and I can pivot a little bit. Maybe, I don't know if I'd do it if I have Cam Akers. But Bernie, thoughts?
I have a question. For the pool here. Elijah Mitchell or Antonio Gibson? I have Gibson in my lineup. All right. I would like to make the right decision here. Okay. If you guys could be obliged to help me, I'd be really appreciative. I'm not confident in myself. All right. I don't like what I'm doing over here. So help me out.
Brad?
I like it. I'd keep Gibson. He's getting the passing work. He's getting some volume. And when we saw CMC go down last week, Jordan Mason was the guy, not Elijah Mitchell. So I may flip if you say Jordan Mason. And I'd rather put him in there because there's some explosiveness there, and he got the bulk of the work after CMC went down last week. But as of right now, I'd keep Antonio Gibson.
All right. Bernie, thoughts on it?
On this question or Brad's response?
The Gibson versus Mitchell.
It was my question.
Yeah, it was
I
his
already
question.
told you what I'm doing.
Andrew.
I meant to say Andrew. Did I say Andrew? I thought
My
I said
thoughts
Andrew.
are I'm an idiot.
I probably still, I like Mitchell in that scenario.
I hate you.
I think I'd rather have Mitchell.
And I don't know if did Mason play over Mitchell or was Mitchell banged up?
No, Mitchell.
They
was
were both
playing
in
that
game last week.
Yeah, they were
Mitchell
both in
was
game.
like 3 carries for negative yardage, and Mason got the rest of the work.
Did Mitchell come in banged up was the question.
Yeah, he came into the week he practiced on a limited basis all week long coming into the last game.
I think that's like a standing known about Elijah Mitchell. He's playing hurt constantly all of the time.
I'd rather just have a running back in this offense. I mean, they're all injury prone dudes. I'd rather just have that guy. We already know what Gibson is. He's obviously not going to be a utilized bell cow in Washington's offense. If you get lucky and Mitchell's the guy, I mean, you have a, league winning running back on your team at that point. So I feel the same way about the Dolphins too. I'll take any of their running backs and just stash them on my bench.
Jeff Wilson.
So what are your thoughts on Sam Howell? Is he, I mean, it's not really a question here, but like, is Sam Howell a top 10 quarterback? A non-biased opinion.
Yeah, he'll throw multiple touchdowns this week. Yeah, I can co-sign that. I mean, I don't know what else he's asking. So,
yeah,
he will throw it over 1.5 passing touchdowns this week to the books.
Multiple. That's multiple technically. Brad, how do you got? Bernie?
I think this.
How do you got Bernie this week? How do you got Sam Howell this week?
This just backs up my opinion around Antonio Gibson being out of the two of them. I think you see Sam Howell with a better game against the Giants defense that is just not playing right now. And a situation where you can find the Giants the Commanders well ahead of the Giants early on in the game, which means just more work for Brian Robinson, more work for Antonio Gibson. So, I do think Howell has a good game, and I think you enjoy most of your Commanders this week.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know from me, I mean, I also think he does that, but really, I think this is more of a Brian Robinson game. The Giants are not very good at stopping the running backs. I think Brian Robinson can have himself a game. So I think if Brian Robinson would happen to score multiple touchdowns, I don't think Howell does. I think it's one or the other. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I still like starting Howell. I currently have him as my quarterback 13 on the week. So he's a fringe QB1 for me. And really it's just because I think Brian Robinson's going to have himself a day, or else I'd have Howe a little higher.
Questions are coming in. Drake London or Rashad White in the flex. Daquan, if it's PPR or 0.5 PPR would help. Bernie, London or White?
Oh, it's Jolly London.
All right. Andrew, London or White?
Oh, I was trying to see how many points I have them projected
Brad,
for.
London or White?
I think
I'm going London. Rashad White's averaging at 3.3 yards per carry. And he only has 7. And we loved his pass catching prowess. And he's got a whopping 17 targets through 6 weeks. So that
It is
that
PPR, so I'm going London.
Projections are for boomers, Andrew. What's your heart tell you?
my heart tells me I'd rather trade both these guys off my team. I guess I'll start Drake London as well. I mean, make it 3 for 3.
If that's what's in your heart, that's what's in your heart, pal.
Pick 2, Jonathan Taylor, Jerome Ford, James Cook, Marquise Brown, Jordan Addison, PPR, Brony.
Ooh, man.
James Cook. Sweet Jesus, bye. This is hard. Marquise Brown has a really good matchup today. I may have to pivot off of James Cook. Fart Nuggets. I'll go James Cook, Marquise Brown. I don't love it, but they have the best matchups, and that's what I'm going to chase is opportunity today. Don't love Jerome Ford. Still mixing it in with Kareem Hunt. Same thing. Jonathan Taylor with Zach Moss. I just, spoke about he was doing so well rushing the ball. Zach Moss, that is. And I don't love the matchup for Addison. So give me Brown and Cook. It's tough.
Mr. Brad.
Brown and Addison.
Andrew.
Damn it. I will take I'll take Ford and Cook.
So we got
Couple
Brown
of
and
Cooks,
Addison.
couple of Browns.
We got Brown and Addison. We got Brown and Cook. Now we got
Good
Ford
luck,
and
Julian.
Cook. So it means I have to take Jonathan Taylor as part of mine just to make sure we get them all in there. I'm going to go with Marquise Brown and James Cook. Good luck, Julian. Appreciate your
That's
question.
a good problem to have, though. Let's be honest. You could
Make some
definitely
trades,
have 5
pal.
worse options right now. So
Yeah, when we said this last couple of weeks, if you end up with a bunch of mid players, package them together and get a player that's not so mid. Hey guys,
As the kids would say.
Yeah. Hey guys, would you start Jerome Ford, Tyler Lockett, or James Cook?
Ooh, I'll go first. Ford, 100%. Light years ahead of these other dudes in my eyes, personally.
Interesting. I like Tyler Lockett. Again, the matchup is just very good in that Arizona-Seattle game for passing opportunities and receivers.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on Ford. Lockett for me, PPR.
I gotta do a health check on Lockett though. Now that we brought his name up.
DK's a game time
Lockett
decision.
and Cook. I mean, you can see a situation for James Cook where, we talked about it. I don't remember who it was that mentioned it earlier, that Bill Belichick is going to look to take Stephon Diggs out of that game plan, which means a lot more work for Gabe Davis, a lot more work for James Cook, who Damian Harris is not playing. Latavius Murray is getting some pass down, kind of pass blocking work, but he's not taking any of the volume away. So I think you can't really go wrong with either of them, but you always have the big playability with Tyler Lockett. So
Absolutely. And DK is coming in as a game time decision. Lockett is good to go, but each of those guys are also a little banged up this week.
And Charbonnet is also limited. He may not play.
Charbonnet is out, I believe.
Yep.
Not expected to play,
I think that this could be a big JSN week. Lockett, though, I mean, the hamstring injury is always a tricky one to come from. He had limited sessions all week. I mean, I just don't I don't like putting that into my lineup because of how easily that injury can rehash itself. So I don't know. I just think that that's a big downgrade for Lockett.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right.
I'm with you. I'm hip to it.
Appreciate you checking in again, Mr. Lebowitz. 2 questions. PPR, KJ Osborne or Gabe Davis? Bernie, you get this one.
Gabe.
Brad?
Yeah, Gabe Davis. Not even close. Yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah, it's Gabe Davis.
All right. It's same PPR. So flex Foreman, Laporta, or one of the
Osborne.
above receivers.
Yeah.
Bernie.
Open Laporta, baby. Open Laporta. Open that door.
Yeah,
As
Laporta.
long as he's healthy. I don't
Andrew?
have his health status, but I believe he's good to go.
Did you say open the Laporta? Nice.
Yeah, open the door.
Yeah, open the Laportal. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is Laporta for me as well. No Monty, the awful running back they drafted in the first round who barely gets usage, and then you have of course Amon-Ra St. Brown. So Laporta is definitely the number 2 going into the week. It's Laporta.
He's
Yeah.
the number 2 tight end in the NFL right now in fantasy. Like,
Yeah,
that's
he's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm going Gabe and Laporta. I am thinking about Foreman a little bit, but I'm going to stick with Gabe and Laporta, and love the reference there. Bilingual Bruni. So Flowers or McLaurin in the flex spot. Onion PPR or half point PPR would help, or standard for those people that do that. Weird people, Bruni. Flowers or McLaurin in the flex.
I like Terry. I'm going to go with Terry. I do like Zay Flowers a lot this week, but I like the Lions. I like them to upset the Ravens on the road, so I'm expecting a little bit less from everybody. Flowers, Andrews, etc. I'll go Terry. I think he finds the end zone this week.
Brad.
Yeah, I'm going to lean McLaurin, and it's because there's 2 different game scripts you could see in Baltimore and Detroit. It's either the 55 points total, or just they don't score anything at all. I'm leaning towards the very low scoring affair in Baltimore rather than the latter. So I'm going to go with McLaurin here up against New York Giants and Adoree Jackson.
Adoree's been playing the slot. They've actually been playing Deion Banks outside. We'll see if Adoree gets him, but I think Adoree's going to end up with Curtis Samuel.
Here comes the Jayon Dotson narrative. Go ahead, Andrew.
I wish.
Give me Zay Flowers. I love Terry. I love Terry in this spot. Don't get me wrong. He's very good against the Giants, but so has been Jahan Dotson. This is his potential breakout week here. Jahan Dotson has and somebody on Twitter was coming at me about Dotson was only good last year because Terry McLaurin was out, which in fact was incorrect. Terry McLaurin did play both games, and I proved that. And Dotson still had a killer game. So I don't know, just all you read all week long, and all you see is the videos of Jahan Dotson being the damn, the holder for kicks and shit. It is showing us that everyone wants us to think that Dotson's going to have a bad game, which I most certainly do not think happens. Also, Zay Flowers is averaging like 7 or 8 targets a game this year. I think that's Terry's ceiling in this offense based off of what I think is going to happen with Brian Robinson. So I will take Zay Flowers.
So we've already answered a lot of McLaurin and Commanders questions. Other than Barkley, are we starting any Giants before we move on to the Atlanta game there, Bernie?
Darius Slayton, if you're like really hurting, like I think that's about it.
Wandale.
Darren Waller.
Wandale's getting targets and he's catching everything. So, I mean, if it's a full point PPR league, I think he gives you a good floor. If it's half point or below, he's not worth a start. But if you're in full point and he's there, I think he's worthy of a start because you're going to get minimum 7 or 8 points out of him.
Yeah, Slayton gets 2 or 3 deep shots a game, and then Wandale gets 7 or 8 targets that with like
25 yards.
But yeah, in PPR,
he's had one game with 8 targets. I mean, if we get that again, hooray for him. But he's coming off of like
5, 6. He's had 5, 6, 6, and 8. I think
I'm looking. I'm looking at it.
5 targets a game.
He had 5 catches for 18 yards. He doesn't go anywhere. He's just very underwhelming.
That's
for me.
why I said PPR. If it's full point PPR, those are easy points.
We'll have to board back. Kendrick Bourne versus Wandale Robinson right now. All right, Atlanta versus Tampa. This game is expected to be all these low-scoring games. I mean, 37.5 over and under. Bleh. Tampa is up. They're favoring them by 3. Ritter. We talked about London already. We talked about Rashad White. What about Godwin and Evans? You're starting both of them, right, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on your situation. I feel more comfortable with Godwin than I do Evans, but yeah, I mean, they're both startable.
How do you sit them? Again, like I just don't like, unless you have like a direct like question. I just don't see how you can just outright say, "Oh yeah, week 7, you're sitting Mike Evans. The matchup's too tough."
Yeah, I guess that was the question. Starting Godwin or and Evans, right? So, Brad.
Yeah, I'm putting them both in my lineup. I'm happy with both of them up against the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to go up a little. The game narrative I see is them going up early against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though Tampa Bay is favorited, I just don't see that happening. So, and I think it's going to end up being a little bit of a surprise game for me. So I'm good with Godwin and Evans being in. And unless you've got elite options, I'm not sitting either one of these guys. So,
all right. So Kareem is playing Ford, JT, or Cook.
And Deshaun Watson. Both of them are a go officially.
Ford.
Is that, are you cooking? Are you stirring? Is that what you're...
I think it's Ratatouille reference. Question for Bernie, Jim or Dwight? I think he's an Andy guy.
It's always Dwight. It's always Dwight.
All
I would
right,
kick Jim's ass if he did half that shit to me. I would like, dude, I'm gonna take you outside and I'm gonna put you in a fucking wood chipper, Jim. All right, that was my stapler, bitch.
Notable actives or inactives: Deshaun Watson and Kareem Hunt and Daniel Jones out, Adoree Jackson out, Evan Neal out, the entire Giants out, Jerry Jacobs out, Lions Charles Harris out, Patriots Juju Smith-Schuster out, Alec Pierce in, Bailey Zappi is the backup for the Patriots. Will
It's
Grier
about goddamn time.
Emergency third quarterback is Will Grier. Malik Cunningham, who people are picking up at a crazy rate for some reason, inactive. All right, back to the questions. Minshew or Baker?
Minshew.
Brad.
I trusted Baker last week. He had a great matchup.
Baker.
Couldn't get it done.
There's
I'm
no
not
way
trusting
I'm
Baker.
starting Gardner Minshew with possibly no Ryan Kelly at center against the defensive front of the Cleveland Browns. It's not happening. So
Andrew.
That's fair, but I like his running game better than Baker's. So I think he gets I think he has better backup, I should say.
It's Baker for me. I mean, you saw what Sam Howell just did to the Falcons last week. So Baker, prime opportunity again.
A lot of Baker. Now,
Other than those 3 touchdowns, though, didn't Atlanta really
other
hold
than
him in
those
check?
3 touchdowns? How many
passing yards did he have? How many passing yards did Sam Howell have?
You still forget he didn't need to have that many passing yards.
Because he's able to finish in the red zone. He didn't move the ball down the field. Relax, pal.
Yeah.
Gee, you won the game. You can't say that there was a bad thing that happened.
How many quarterbacks threw 3 touchdowns last week?
I don't know, Andrew. How many of them threw? How many of them threw for 150 yards?
I wish I had some popcorn right now.
And 3 touchdowns. If Josh Jacobs runs for 20 yards and has 3 touchdowns, is that a good day?
He's not a quarterback.
Yes is the answer. You could have just said yes.
He's not a quarterback.
I understand.
No, it's an amazing day.
Baker,
It's an amazing day if that happens.
After the show, boys, Baker or Stafford?
Not Stafford. Baker, because Andrew likes Baker too much this week.
No, I love Stafford this week.
No, you love Baker.
I think the answer to the Rams running back question is Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp. Like, they're just gonna throw the crap out of the ball, and these running backs are gonna share 15, 20 touches. That's my response to the Rams running backs. But Brad, Baker, Stafford.
I think I'm going to go Baker. And my biggest concern is there are 2 game wreckers on the defensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Rams offensive line is still not good. And they can absolutely upset the apple cart there. I've seen TJ Watt alone wreak havoc on an entire team's passing game. So if they can manage to get Alex Highsmith back to form, back to rushing the passer a little bit, I think you could see a really rough game for Matthew Stafford. So I'm just going to go with Baker here.
All right. We're going to move on because we got a couple more games to go through in about 15 minutes. So Detroit and Baltimore, we talked a little bit about this one. The questions here, Jameson or Dotson, Bruni?
Jamison Williams or Jahan Dotson?
Yeah, unless you just want to drink Jameson or start Jahan Dotson.
Man, Jahan Dotson hasn't done shit, but if there's got to be a week for him to do it, it'd be this one, right? I don't know. I just see Williams dropping the ball, not being on the same page with the offense yet. Obviously, still playing limited snaps, so I'll go Dotson.
Yeah, he ran 15 routes last week. I'm going with Dotson, even though I think it's
he had some pretty good targets for 15 snaps. I'll say that, but he didn't haul anything in. So
he gets about 60 air yards per target. Brad, Dotson, or Jameson?
Dotson.
I know you're drinking Jameson.
Yep, fact.
All right, Reynolds.
I think that's beneath Brad.
Reynolds or Jeff Wilson, Andrew?
Damn. That's a very good question.
What are you talking about?
Craig Reynolds or Jeff Wilson?
Yeah, I guess Wilson. But I really like Reynolds too. I worry that he is not fully healthy.
Yeah, and we don't know what Wilson's role is going to be coming back, but we have seen Wilson and Mostert split before, and Wilson was pretty dang good. And it should be a pretty interesting game over there, Philly and Miami, speaking of popcorn. All right, the prop lock for this one, Amon-Ra over 74.5. Bernie.
Over.
Brad?
Locking it in. Hey, that's my prop lock. I got it. It's already in the bet slip.
All right, Andrew, are you pop lock and dropping Bijan under 54.5?
Yeah, that's his rushing line, correct? That's not like total.
Correct.
Yeah, probably under that, but I would take his over rushing and receiving total.
All right. We're going to go to the Arizona-Seattle game. That's a little bit higher scoring, 44.5 on the total. Seattle is favored by 8.5. Bruni, we talked a little bit about the quarterbacks. Geno Smith, is he a top 12 guy? Would you play Geno Smith over Baker?
Easily, yeah. He has a much better matchup.
Thoughts on JSN this week, Brad?
So DK looks like he's gonna go. I am still fading JSN because I believe Kenneth Walker is going to absolutely dominate this game to the point to where, like, I'm ladder betting this dude for every line up and over 100 yards for the game, touchdown score. You know, I talked about Josh Jacobs, a potential 2-touchdown scorer. I think Kenneth Walker has that in him this week as well. I think this is Kenneth Walker absolutely destroying the Arizona Cardinals.
So the Cardinals have definitely gone downhill since the first couple weeks where they were looking pretty decent. Danny Cordray, full point PPR. All right. Taking it. Other than Marquise Brown, are we starting Zach Ertz, and what are we doing with the Arizona backfield, Andrew?
If I don't have to start Zach Ertz, I don't want to. There should hopefully be a way for you to pivot off of that. So I would prefer to not do that. And man, their backfield is kind of a mess. I guess Keontae Ingram, but again, I would try to play none of them if at all possible.
Michael Wilson, anytime touchdown.
Don't hate that. I do like that.
Seattle, 7th worst against receivers in fantasy this year. I like a low-key Josh Dobbs day. Probably throws a pick, but probably also has 2 touchdowns. Maybe 1 rushing, 1 passing.
All right. Green Bay versus Denver. Green Bay 2-3, Denver 1-5.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay favored by 1.5 only. I feel like it should be more than that. Bernie, what are your thoughts here about the pass catchers in Green Bay?
It's not great. I'll tell you that. It's not great. I like the running backs in this matchup. Denver, most fantasy points allowed to the running backs. Green Bay, 4th most. I guess you're starting Christian Watson. I mean, again, in the situation, probably where you drafted him, you're probably obliged to be putting Christian Watson in your lineup. I don't love any of these guys. I've been on record many a times. Not a Watson guy, not a Romeo Dubes guy. I'll take Watson and the running backs.
Brad, what are your thoughts on this whole, like, everyone's on the block? How does that affect the locker room there? Like, I feel like there's just Denver's just such a dumpster fire. Not that Green Bay is all roses, but I feel like that team is just not going to play. Like everyone.
Hey, what are you talking about? Green Bay's got Jordan Love. He threw 3 touchdowns up against Atlanta. You didn't know that? 3 touchdowns.
They're not. The locker room is, you can tell they're just not playing. They're not trying. The defense should be way better than what it is. And they can't stop literally anybody. You have one of the best cornerbacks in the game. You have a really solid safety in Justin Simmons. You got a couple good linebackers in Singleton, and I just blanked on his name.
Josie Jewell.
Jewel, thank you. And they can't stop anybody. The play calling is not good, and I think this is a get-right game for Green Bay. I think you see Jordan Love have a good game. I think Luke Musgrave is a sneaky play at tight end. We've seen him garner some pretty heavy target share in his last 2 healthy games, I will say. And I think you're going to see more of the same here with that. So I think Green Bay is going to pretty easily handle Denver in the grand scheme of things. But with all that being said, Russell Wilson, as bad as the Denver Broncos are, for fantasy football, he is a QB1. I think he's number 10. Like, play him. Play him, because Green Bay's defense isn't great either. So I think you've got options there. His number 1 target in Cortland Sutton right now is not what everybody thought, right? We thought Jerry Jeudy was going to be the apple of his eye, and that just hasn't come to fruition. It's been Cortland Sutton getting touchdowns and targets downfield. So, but yeah, I think Green Bay, I trust most of their pass catchers in this game.
Jerry Jeudy, more of a garnish, more of like a lemon in a martini.
And we'll see. Cortland Sutton's get Jair Alexander this week, so that's gonna be a really tough matchup for him. So, Andrew, thoughts on Denver's running back situation? Javonte Williams, you probably have to start him at this point. Would you take Javonte? We thought Javonte Williams or Rachaad White was the question earlier. So would you put him inside your top 20?
Well, I can tell you in a second here. Let me go to my rankings. I don't think I do. No, he's just
Jalil's
outside.
got the juice.
Yeah. Williams is just outside of 20 for me. Currently sitting at 23. Man, again, like, this is just a weird backfield because you don't exactly know what the splits are going to be and how they're going to utilize all 3 of these dudes. Yeah, I mean, you probably are starting them because of the buys, but I wouldn't feel great about it.
Yeah, Jalil's got the juice. He also cannot pass protect at all. And so that's a little troublesome on 3rd down. That's where you see some.
You think Sean Payton's trying to pass block? Come on, pal.
Well, I don't know if he knows what he's doing right now, but we saw it last week where he just got, like, rolled over, and it was not good. So Jeudy is
7 a $185. That dude is. He ain't blocking nobody.
Yeah, he's a little bit above Deuce Vaughn. So are we everybody's sitting Jerry Jeudy this week?
I mean, again, I just don't see that being an option unless you're in a very, lower, rostered league, like 10 teams. Like, I just don't see how that's a possibility with all these teams missing this week, plus injuries on top of that. I just don't.
Over Jerry Jeudy this week.
Yeah.
Wow. That
I salute you, sir. I salute you. No, I'm with it. I'm with it. That's a great matchup. You're picking the matchup over the player. I love it. I salute you.
I wish it was a Marvin Mims week, but we know it's not. Does the weather scare you off of Zay Flowers? I haven't really checked the weather.
The weather's fine here. What are they talking about?
Rashee Rice would be a decent option. I do think Rashee Rice is the decent option. I actually like him. I like him more than Sky Moore and Tony. But I'm not putting him over Zay Flowers.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk to me about some weather. I thought that game's in Baltimore.
Correct.
Looking outside, it's gorgeous out. Looking at the weather report, I'm
no,
seeing.
No, it's in Detroit. Oh, no. I lied.
It's in Detroit.
Oh, is it in
No,
Detroit?
No.
Oh, is it in?
I'm
No.
wrong.
Wait. What if it's in Detroit?
Detroit's a dome.
It's not in Detroit.
No.
I'm looking at the schedule.
A what? Do they have weather inside yet?
It's
You're
not
full of
inside.
piss and vinegar this morning.
I know it's not inside, Andrew, because it's in Baltimore.
Yeah, well, that's why he's asking about the weather. Is it raining there, Bruni?
No.
Bruni, you need to go outside and
I'm looking right at it. It looks like fall outside. Okay, it looks like fall.
There
We
is
need to finish
15.
the show outside with Bruni doing the weather.
It is currently showing 15 mile per hour winds. Maybe that's what they're talking about, or what Jake is referring to. Is it's a little
Jake's
windy?
still drunk.
Maybe I'm still drunk. Yeah, I think it might be last week on your weather calendar, Jake. Or I don't know. I mean, I got nothing but clear skies. So I mean, if there's a wind thing, I mean, what are you worried about with wind? Like
throwing the ball downfield to Zay Flowers?
I was really hoping
Lamar ain't going to do that regardless, bud.
Rain and wind.
He has randomly.
All right, last game on the slate for today. On this one is Chiefs and Chargers. That's got a 47.5 total with the Chiefs favored 5.5. I mean, you're kind of starting everybody in this one. I'll plant my flag with Josh Palmer. I think Josh Palmer exceeds expectations and should be your lineup this week.
Yep.
It's tough. I wish. I mean, with the Chargers are a team that I wish we could do team tight end because Gerald Everett's going to get 7 targets and 5 catches, but Parm's going to catch the touchdown. So it's like you don't know which one to go with there. Any thoughts on anybody outside of Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Justin Herbert, and Palmer for the Chargers? Bernie.
No, I think that's. I mean, you covered a lot of names. I think you're good. I'm not digging into a backup running back. I am starting Gerald Everett in a league. Yes, I have no other tight end rostered, so I'm just stuck.
Yeah, it's so frustrating if you have Everett to see Parham get all the red zone targets, but it is what it is. Brad, you got Tony, we got Moore, we got Rice. Are you starting any of the Chiefs receivers? And then rank them if you can.
Rashee Rice would be the one that I would be comfortable starting right now. I think he is the target leader at the wide receiver position for the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously not out targeting Travis Kelce or anything like that, but I think the rookie outside of his dropsies in week 1 that kind of got him a little bit of a benching, I would say, from what my eyes saw. He has returned inside the circle of trust, I will say, with Patrick Mahomes, and we're seeing him get, I want to say it's pretty average, like 5 targets a game, but he's the one option that's kind of consistently getting some targets in that offense right now. And he's not a down the field threat like an addition of a McCole Hardman is, or an MVS is, or whatever. He's that more mid, intermediate route kind of guy. Tony's taking those targets close to the line of scrimmage and trying to make some work. So I'm leaning Rashee Rice out of anybody not named Travis Kelce for the Chiefs.
All right, it's about 12 o'clock. Anything else before we get out of here? I think the only games we might have missed were San Francisco and the Vikings, and Philadelphia and Miami. Anything on any of those guys?
No, you're starting all your Eagles and your Dolphins. And I think we pretty much covered actually like the Niners and the Vikings pretty well.
I think the one question would be Jeff Wilson. How comfortable are you, or would you put him in a lineup his first week back with no Devon Achane or Achane? I don't even remember. Achane. Sorry, Devon Achane. I'm comfortable putting him in my lineup. I tried to go and trade for him last week before he came back, and the owner was very smooth and knew a little bit more than I expected him to. Sorry, Jose, but held him. So, where's your trust factor with Jeff Wilson this week?
Scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 6.5.
Yeah, any of these guys coming back, I'm not going to put Wilson in my lineup unless I'm looking at starting Craig Reynolds. But like these guys that are coming back, they're probably going to get 50% snaps. Like they're not going to start him off the IR and get him a full blow and then get him hurt again.
Well, there's a lot of that though this week, right? You got Craig Reynolds, you've got Deonta Foreman, you've got Zach Moss. Like you've got all of these backup run, Cam Akers.
I like Moss and Foreman
Kyron Williams out, and now Royce Freeman. Like, where is Jeff Wilson in the ranks of those guys? Because obviously you're not going to start him over some of these other guys, but like I think Jeff Wilson may be at the top of that list for me out of all those guys that I listed.
I'm with Dave. I like full BJs rather than half BJs.
So I'm at.
All right. Fair enough.
Don't even talk to me about quarters.
How about ZJs?
Oh.
If you got to ask, you can't afford it, pal.
That's right.
Well played. That was a great reference. And Bruni actually went right with it. Yeah. We're gonna end it on that. So
everyone go check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Sean and Kramer are about to go live.
I'm gonna leave this up for Jake.
No, I bet they're 3 minutes late like us.
Probably. All right, everybody. Good luck this week.
Later.